Good morning, my broskies. Lost in Random the Eternal Die is out. But what does it bring with it, and is it good or is it not? Your very own Papa Slim from Sweden is here to tell you, so let's dive into it.
No one truly knows why, but a clever mind will use it to their advantage.
It will cost you 25 buckaroonies, and it will let you dive into a respin of the Lost in Random. Initially kickstarted by the EA indie thingy thing that was going on, Lost in Random dropped, and the studio who did it split. One part of it merged with Thunderful and created Lost in Random the Eternal Die. The other part started a new studio called Moonhood Studios, and they developed the Midnight Walk. But today's focus is the Eternal Die. Now, as I said, the Eternal Die is a respin of Lost in Random, so it doesn't matter if you played Lost in Random before jumping into this one, or vice versa, but you will recognize a lot of stuff from both games, no matter which order you play them in. There's a lot of references to both of them and a lot of similarities, which is a really cool and neat touch if you ask me. Now, the Eternal Die, however, is a top-down roguelite action game compared to Lost in Random, which is a heavy story-driven third-person action game. And as I said, the Eternal Die is a roguelite. I know that would throw off a lot of people, but let me explain how this one works. And yeah, it works just as every single roguelite out there. If you die, you start from the very start of the game, and you have to push through all of it to reach wherever you died and push further, because you became stronger with permanent upgrades. But the Eternal Die does a few things different. It has its own twists and nooks to things. Let's begin with the story. It's got its own story, separated from Lost in Random, but they take place in the same universe. The Eternal Die also has a lot of interesting characters with voiced dialogues, but they don't go as deep as in Lost in Random. Our goal in the Eternal Die is to escape the Black Die, which we were captured in by Mare, some sort of evil goddess that we need to rid of and escape from this Black Die. And inside of the Black Die, there's a lot of other trapped characters that we actually trapped in there that now becomes our allies. It's actually quite a well-written story, and I liked following along with it. And due to the lack of it not being so deep as in the first game, to me personally, it was actually easier to follow along with. And the fact that it is all voice acted and very, very well voice acted, it really helped along the way.
Alex! I've been thinking.
Oh, I'm glad we're both pulling our weight in this matter.
Now, gameplay-wise, as I said, if you die, you start from level 1 again. You have permanent upgrades in the form of upgrading one of 4 weapons in the game, making them deal more damage, or making them give you a little bit of health every time that you kill someone, or inflict burn on your enemies. Each weapon has 4 different upgrade stats, and they all differ depending on what weapon you choose to play with. Then you have your standard character upgrades, which gives you more max health or gives you more damage depending on if you do this or that and so on. But there is something interesting with that. You can only pick 1 out of 2 upgrades for each of the categories, and if you pick one, you have to spend points in upgrading that. But if you, after a while, feel like you want to switch, well, you're back from 0 and you have to start mashing in points into that other thing that you picked. So be careful where you spend your currency, because currency is hard to get in this game, and it will require a lot of grinding if you want to max out your character. And then we have the run-specific upgrades, which is really, really interesting in this game. It's a bit of a minigame where you have to color match 3 pieces. One of the pieces can be just a color that will disappear once you color match, but another one can be a color with a perk, or a perk with multiple colors, and those perks makes you a lot stronger. So you really want to hunt for those, but you have to be careful where you place them, because once you color match, that perk stays as a non-colored block, and you only have a limited space where you can actually color match. And say that you color match the color red, well, once you have matched 3 of those, it will increase your weapon's damage. And there is something specific for each of the colors. One could increase your dice damage, one could increase your magic damage. Once you learn the mechanic, it isn't that advanced, but it's actually really fun and innovative. I really, really liked it, and it made me stop and think multiple times before I actually just placed a block somewhere. Then we have the card abilities. You can pick up 1 card every time you enter the world of killing. But there is a total of 15 different cards, and as you progress and maybe enter World 2, you might be able to choose a different card. None of them is better than the other one, but they all offer completely different things. One could throw out a ball that stuns enemies. The other one could be a flamethrower that puts burn on enemies. So depending on what colors you have and what perks you have, you might want to switch that card if you find a better one that suits the way that you have played. And then we have the die that we can throw for AoE damage that can also be enhanced with perks. It can be something like roll a 4 when you throw the die and it will explode into a pit of hellfire. And then during the runs we can also run into some gambling mechanics where you bet money that you will roll a higher dice than the NPC that is in front of you. If you win, you unlock a new perk. And there is also a minigame where you roll the die and you walk the amount of steps that you rolled. And these are all great and fun things that makes the experience kind of fresh and fun. And you never really know what kind of these mechanics you're gonna run into or how it's gonna shape every time that you enter the world of killing. But I really would have liked to see more of these minigames, more of these puzzles, sort of. Not really puzzles, because there isn't any puzzles in the game. It wouldn't have hurt if there were a little bit of puzzling. Now, once we have experienced all of these things, you will die, and then you will end up in the hub world again. It's a neat little hub world, but there really isn't anything else to do than upgrade your character and talk to people. Now, once you're done with that, you will enter the world of killing again, and the world of killing is laid out in mazes. Mazes, there are just blocks of rooms, and you have a minimap. It's super easy to navigate, don't worry about that. You can even fast travel if you want to certain interest points that you found. So you enter a room, the room locks until you have killed everything, and then it opens up and you move to the next room. But the actual biomes, the actual environments, since you start from scratch every time that you die, it gets extremely repetitive looking at that first biome over and over and over. And then once you reach a little further, it gets so frustrating looking at the first biome and then the second, the first and the second. And why does that get frustrating? Because they don't have enough flair. They look great as they are, but they're not unique enough. They don't have enough variety and flair to them. So it really feels like you have been in that location a million times after playing a few hours. And in total, there is 4 different biomes, so that's not a whole lot. Now in these biomes, we will come across regular enemies, and there's actually over 30 plus regular enemies in the game. Then there is 4 high skill bosses, 1 for each world, and some of the worlds actually have mid-tier bosses as well. But the main bosses, they're 4, and they are hard as freaking hell the first time you meet them. But that also has a lot to do with learning the game, learning the mechanics, finding the right weapon for me, because there are 4 different weapons, and I ended up liking the base sword the most. To conclude this very weird video, well, the game is great. It's a bite-sized roguelite where it offers about 8 to 10 hours of gameplay. It's mostly due to repetition, and I say repetition due to each biome always having the same set of enemies, and while the rooms shift, they don't change enough to make it feel fresh each round. So getting through the game in one run could take you just over an hour, and hence I call it bite-sized. I would have preferred it to start from the second world once you finish the first, instead of making you do all of them every time. Give the player the option to grind the first one for currency if so want, but after a world is finished, you should always go back to the hub world and pick where you want to go from. I understand why the game isn't designed so, because you would enter the second world with 0 perks each time, since you grow the strongest with the run upgrades and perks, but that's where the developers have to come in and figure a way out. Having to replay from the start each time is not the right solution here, and I think a lot of players will drop off early due to that. But did I have a good time with the game? Yeah, I did. The gameplay feels amazing, it looks good, but the worst part is that it starts feeling very repetitive after maybe 3 hours. And there is a lot of things that could have been done to ease that repetitive feeling, which hasn't been done. But the main question is, would I recommend this game? Yeah, I would. I had a very good time with it overall, and I was dreaming about the game the first day that I played it, and when I woke up, I jumped back into it instantly because I wanted to grind more, I wanted to become stronger, I wanted to find more characters. it was a fun experience overall, so yes, I would recommend this game. Now, I've been recording for 20 minutes talking about this bite-sized roguelite. There is still things that I want to talk about, but I'm gonna have to cut this video and make it a hell of a lot shorter. But I hope that whatever it turns into, I hope that you enjoyed it. And for a lot more brutal indie games just like this, remember to hit that subscribe and like. And Papa Slim, he will see you in the next one. Over and out.